The Derek talks about blank with blank.
Podcast, Episode 4, Float Upstream.
I'm nothing but a statue that's made of flesh and bone, a reincarnation of an idle telephone, 'cause the only thing that's ringing is the sound.
Hey, so this episode was recorded back in August 2020, and I only got to finish editing it in January 2021. So sorry that this one is out so late, guys. I'm actually editing it right now. And so some of this stuff is a little bit dated, but I'll just make sure to wrap everything up right at the end. But yeah, here's the episode.
Hello and welcome to the Derek Talks About Blank with Blank podcast. Today, for my fourth episode, my guests are Float Upstream. They are a milk chocolate jazz rock band from central Pennsylvania. They have two albums out currently, Where the Sky Meets the Sea, which came out in 2018, and Come of Age, which came out in 2019. They have over 1,000 streams on Spotify for their songs So Far Away, Plastic Man, and Vitality. And Josiah Joseph, the lead singer in the band, has a solo acoustic EP called Paint Me a Picture and an electronic SoundCloud project called Cascade of Grey. Thank you guys so much for coming on the podcast. It's a pleasure.
Thanks for having us, yo.
Thanks for having us, Derek.
Our pleasure, man.
Yeah. Do you guys want to introduce yourself and what instrument you guys play for the band?
Yeah, I'm Josiah. I play guitar, sing lead vocals, and occasionally tinker on the piano.
I'm Nick. I play the electric bass primarily. Sometimes hit a stool with a drumstick.
That's true.
That's so good. I forgot about that. I'm John. I also play guitar. Don't usually hit a stool with a stick. That's usually Nick's gig.
It's dumb. Don't hit stools with sticks, kids.
I'm Owen, son of Stephen, conqueror of worlds, and I drums.
And you also sing and rap occasionally.
Yeah, I can also, and I also play some piano.
I love you.
And I also play uke, but that has yet to be featured
Oh, shoot.
upstream universe in the Float Upstream cinematic universe.
That's true.
Coming to a pandemic near you.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so let's get into the Gen Qs. So number one, what other artists or groups are your guys' can't speak English. What are your guys' biggest inspirations for your band?
I can
Radiohead.
feel this one. I can feel this one right off the bat. No, it's not Radiohead. It's the Blues Clues OST, Captain Geach and the Shrimp Shack Shooters, and the Float Upstream EP. I've been thinking about that one for a while.
Dude, you had that on lock. Holy crap.
Derek, in all seriousness, I think one thing that's interesting about this group is that we've had this conversation a couple of times about how the common inspirations like that we all share are actually like quite a few. Like I think we are we're like collectively only inspired like by a couple of groups, but individually there are a lot of musicians and and ensembles that like that we may listen to on our own, but that the rest of the group doesn't share quite so much. But I think the most recent time we've had this conversation, we've talked about how groups like the Strokes and the Beatles and bands like Wolfpack, and some jazz, a myriad of jazz artists kind of play a role in our sound and what we strive for when we play together, but also in what we try to incorporate in our individual parts when contributing to a song of ours. I don't know if you guys have anything to add.
Pretty spot on.
Yeah.
Agreed.
There's only like, I think we've actually had extensive conversations about this. There's only like 5 or 6 artists that we all agree are like, we all really like love this band. I think another one might be like Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
I don't even remember, like maybe Arctic Monkeys.
Yeah.
Arctic
Yeah.
Monkeys fan? Nick, are you an Arctic Monkeys fan?
I wouldn't say I'm
That's a
not.
no. That's a no.
That's
I
a
guess
no.
it's a
No, he likes what he's heard.
no.
He said he likes what he's
Yeah,
heard.
yeah. It's like I like what I've heard, but I've not given them a thorough listen. So I don't want to be a poser and say I'm a fan and only know like the greatest hits. You know what I'm saying?
It's
like-
Smash Mouth is on there.
Yeah, Smash Mouth.
Smash Mouth.
YouTube
definitely
poop.
on there.
Where there's smoke, they pinch back.
Oh, the me theme song when you're in the Me Plaza. That's definitely one of the songs. It's
Oh yeah, that's
big
a great
facts.
song.
oh, we all love that song for sure.
Yeah, true.
Great composition.
Derek, if our answers are too long, you can tell us when to stop. We
Yeah.
won't be
No, no,
Put
offended.
us off. Otherwise, we're gonna keep talking.
You guys are good. Okay, number 2. Do you ever find a deeper connection to one of the songs you make, but then another song that you weren't expecting gets popular, or you weren't expecting to get popular, gets popular?
Freaking Plastic Man.
Oh yeah, also check out their Plastic Man music video. It's on YouTube. Yeah.
Oh man, of course now that's a plug. Great.
Dude, that's
Nice
a funny
plug, Josiah.
that is a funny music video. Honestly.
Shout out to Nick and John.
Dude,
Yeah.
shout out to Nick, bro.
Yeah.
Tweaking.
Dude, I've sent it to Disney Channel at least 15 times. Waiting to hear
dice.
back. But
Had to pop up as a commercial on a Sweet Life of Zach and Cody rerun. That's what I want out of it.
Out of reach.
so if anyone's looking to fill a role where a guy burns someone else, I could definitely do that. Wait, that's not very child friendly. I'm sorry. I only burn a man. Goodbye.
Eric,
No,
you're-
but for real,
I get-
I would say. Oh yeah. I was gonna say. No, I think that definitely happens all the time. I'd say every time we're working on a song, we like do think about like what song we think would, be most popular, and we kind of guess. And there's songs that we get really connected to, and then whenever we were checking like what songs would get the most listens, it was always different than what we expected. Like I remember one time when it was Where the Sky Meets the Sea, like Mask got a lot of listens at first, which like was really surprising. So like different songs that we really resonated with, and we're like, okay, it might not be that popular, but we're making this more for us, and we kind of enjoy it for like being a little different or a different form or something, like people would actually resonate with. So it's been really cool to see what people enjoy or don't enjoy. And then I'd say the other one that's like that, I think for Come of Age, all of us really agree that Midnight on Salvation Street is one of a song that's very special to us as far as what we put into it and how we feel about it as a product. But it kind of, I would say that's a little less, digestible for a lot of people maybe. So it's just interesting to see like what outcome there's been for sure. Yeah, it's always surprised us, I would say.
Yeah. Okay.
Great answer, Owen.
Favorite artists or groups at the moment?
Radiohead.
It's just
That's
always
going to be a common
Radiohead.
thread throughout this entire thing, Derek. Just get ready.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pull up.
Just for the record, this is referencing back to the first question, but most of the times there's a band where like 3 of us will really love that band and then one other person just will not get it at all. That's mostly what happens, which I think is great because it keeps this like tension whenever we make something where there's always tension in what influence we're drawing from, where someone's always doing something that makes the other 3 slightly uncomfortable. And then it just takes one other person to side with them. We're like, okay, maybe we should do this thing. And that happens all the time, which is great. And a lot of that is because of our influences, they don't always match up. Like I am the only one in the band who doesn't like Radiohead. I'll say that loud and proud.
Raider.
And then there's might be 3 of us in the band who like 21 Pilots, but Josiah hates 21 Pilots, so it's like there's just this great mix of like who we are listening to and love, and it always, I guess, challenges us as musicians. I know, and being a part of this band has always challenged me as a musician because I've listened to so many different artists that I may have never come into contact to. Like when I realized how much all 3 of them loved Radiohead, I freaked out I went on this very intense existential crisis trying to figure out why I was the only one who didn't like Radiohead. And it made me realize so much more about myself because I had to give myself a reason. I was like, I can't just not like them. Like I have a good reason for not liking them, you know. And but it made me learn a lot. And I think in general that's been the case. But maybe each of us should say an artist or something that we've been listening to now. That we've been really vibing with. I don't know if you guys want to do that.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah,
For me, I'd say Voltec relatively recently released a live album at Madison Square Garden. I've been really digging that. And I've been listening to another live album called Stop Making Sense by Talking Heads. That's really cool. Yeah, Radiohead's always in the rotation, as is Unknown Mortal Orchestra and like Lewis Cole and cats like that.
Josiah?
My music listening is always all over the freaking place. I've been listening to some like 90s hip hop lately, like some like Wu-Tang and Nas and stuff like that. A Tribe Called Quest. But like regular rotation has been like a band called Everything Everything. It's really cool, like art pop rock kind of band from Great Britain. What are some other ones? Arctic Monkeys is a good go back to band. I listen to a lot of their stuff. I've been listening to the White Album, by the Beatles a lot lately for some reason. I'll just go and pick random songs out of that. Yeah, I'm just kind of all over the place. It's just my music taste is just always changing. I love it.
Contrarian.
The contrarian.
Dude, you can't contain me to one space, baby.
I can go next if Owen's not ready. I've been listening to a ton of Odessa. They were like my most listened to artist last year, so definitely them. I've been kind of on like a pop. I don't know. There's a lot of like singles from different people. Some others. Yeah, exactly. One album that I totally have gotten back into literally in like the last 2 weeks is Turn on the Bright Lights, though. I've had the opener on that. It's an Interpol album.
Love that album.
Yeah, the first track on that called Untitled. I've had like that on repeat. It's like just this like really cool spacey guitar sound. But
that's so fun. That happened to me earlier this summer too. I listened to that song like all the time.
Dude, it's so good.
So
for me, I listen to a lot of kind of different things. I listen to a lot of different genres, but I don't know, and I've kind of never been able to figure out like what draws me to the particular artist that I like. There's always like something. I feel like I always get into bands where I feel like they do something different very well. So I really like a group called the Oh Hellos. They're like an indie folk band with just a lot of different instrumentalists. I've been really got into this past year a band called Thank You Scientist, who's just this insane like chops heavy jazz heavy metal fusion band. They're super cool, super weird, and they play with a drum corps, which is awesome. I've always been very heavily influenced by drum corps as far as the style and the approach I take to drumming. I always just want to really challenge myself and apply different things. So I found a lot of inspiration from different groups that I feel like do things that really push themselves. I've always loved 21 Pilots, so I always listen to them. There's a group called Half Alive I've been listening to recently, who's kind of an up-and-coming band, and they do a lot of wacky stuff with some cool dancers on stage too. So in their concerts, they combine a lot of dancing elements with their musical elements. I've also gotten to Wolfpack a lot recently. Kudos to Nick. They're super good. And I've also just recently been really like going back through all this oldies music that my parents listened to when I was a kid and just trying to figure out like what I really like and didn't like from that. Because I haven't really like gone back through. I mean, I listened to so much of the radio as a kid and it was all oldies music. So now I've been kind of trying to rediscover that and like pick and choose what I really like and don't like and figure out why and maybe take some more influence from kind of what other people have done. Yeah. So it's been a good time with COVID for music at least.
Yeah. So let's get right into my questions for you guys. Number one, when I was listening to your two albums, I noticed that your second album is more digestible to the average listener. And I say digestible in the sense that you tone back a little bit of the drums on certain songs and a little bit of the I guess the distortion on some of the guitars for certain songs. And I just was wondering, was this done because of feedback you had gotten from like fans or other listeners or whatever, or was this just something that you all decided on? And also along with that, I also noticed that your second album had more piano in it and also vocal harmonies. So what was your process through like learning about the things that you weren't really happy about maybe in your first album and how you changed that in your second album?
Is it cool if I take this one? All right. So when I first read that question, I like because John brought it up to me. I thought it was interesting that you thought our second album was more digestible, because we all thought, like, we would all agree that we think it's less digestible in the first record.
Yeah,
in terms
for
of
sure.
pop accessibility, and a lot of the chord progressions on LP1 are more just simple, more kind of radio friendly, like
Yeah, okay, I can see that. Yeah.
But you're definitely right though when you say like there's a lot of songs that are more softer. The production, like, we started to branch out more with different instruments, and as we were kind of writing these songs, that was a time when I really started to take a liking to different harmonies. So I definitely like made it a priority to put those in there and whatnot. Later on in the later in the recording process. But as far as like influence like goes, like, it's just a matter of I think it's really crazy to look back across, like, what is it, 7 years that we've been making music together. For some of us, even longer than that. I remember playing with John when we were like 13 and 14 at youth group way back in the day. But it's as our tastes have evolved and we've evolved as musicians, and like we're definitely not listening to the same stuff now that we were way back then. I think for me as a songwriter, I wanted to take things in a more jazzy direction. A lot of the songs bring things down, make them a little bit more subtle in some spots. But I don't think it was pressure. It was just the direction we started to drift in. We wanted to incorporate more sounds and styles into what we were already doing, sort of the garage rock Strokes White Stripe sound that we kind of started off with, and we're like, well, where do we go from here? It's like, oh, let's start experimenting with jazzier things. And some of the chord progressions on that album are just so strange, and they're like, it's like changing keys every like few chords and stuff on some of these songs, which I love. But yeah, Ben, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, Josiah, I think you put that really well. And I didn't talk to any of them about the questions beforehand, but I totally agree with Josiah as far as when I read that question too, I was thinking that is super interesting because in general, I would say the album Come of Age, I would think would be a lot less digestible, only because I feel like we did really let ourselves go creatively. And like, there were so many things that, like when I would propose something, everyone would be like, no, that's a horrible idea. And then we'd eventually do it. And then it kind of did something okay, and it just in general through the process, like we kind of went for more different things. And I think a lot of that's in there, rhythmically, there's a lot of weird things like with the timing and with what we're doing and, lyrically and with the chords and everything. So I think in general, it's a lot crazier, but I do think production wise, I think we were finding a lot more, we were getting a lot more in our element as far as how to blend our different instruments and how to, make them really help each other rather than kind of just like, let's just throw everything on top of each other at once and just like go for it, which like, if you listen to So Far Away, like there are parts where we're all kind of just shredding at once, where we're just like throwing everything down, and that's fine. But we were trying to avoid that more in this one, where we were kind of taking turns and like trying to make our parts really blend. So I think it's a good thing that you think that, it's great that you think it's more digestible, because that's showing that, we were, at least in this case, able to be successful in doing more with our instruments, but also helping them complement one another rather than kind of drown each other out. So that's encouraging to me that you think that.
Yeah, it's like, I'm just like, the second album is more digestible. You guys are all just like disowning me, just being like, the second album is less digestible. And I'm like, oh.
No, I mean, it's great. I'm really glad that it comes across that way, because that's a great, that's what we want. We want it to be easy to listen to, of course, but we also want it to be interesting and, go different places and do things that might challenge us as musicians.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think the reason why I was saying that as well is the last track on Come of Age. I can't remember what it's called for the life of me right now, but it's got this just like really like laid back kind of like sing-songy, like probably one of the most digestible songs that you guys like ever made on any of your albums. And I was like, this is like something that should like everybody should be listening to, because it's just like nice, it's sweet, it's just kind of like, oh yeah, I can sing along to this kind of song, where some of your other songs aren't always like that. So that's kind of why I was saying that the second album was more digestible. Though I do think the first album, some of the lyrics, you're able, at least for me, I'm able to sing along with them better. Maybe because it's been around longer and I've listened to it more, but yeah, that's probably just me, honestly. Probably not everybody's like that.
I definitely think the second album is less hooky. My lyrics are more generally abstract, because I think I wrote probably 80% of the lyrics on Come of Age. I got more I've gotten more metaphorical and visceral, I would say, with my lyric writing than more just saying it how it is, which is more of LP1. So that's another interesting take. Yeah, that I see that a lot. There's more hooks on the first album.
Yeah. So next question. On your first album, you guys had only one non-vocal song or instrumental song, but on the second one, you had two. And along with that, I could also pair the next question. Solitaire, which is from your first album. That's the instrumental song. Is one of your more different sounding songs that you've made. What was it like making a smooth jazz track?
Nick?
I guess I can answer that. No, great question. I don't. So Solitaire is just bass and drums. It's like me accompanying myself and then Owen accompanying myself. And that was like a pretty, like that's like my sole original contribution to Float Upstream. And I forget what the purpose of writing it was. Maybe it was just to like to challenge myself in that way. Like I wanted something that was more like, I guess, a less diluted abstract track, like to be on there, and that it kind of took the form of Solitaire. And the process of writing it was really just like messing around with some chords that had some extensions that I thought sounded really pretty to me, and just progressions, I guess, that sounded really pretty. Writing was a lot of fun. It was just like me and a looper pedal, basically, like in my aunt and uncle's basement at Cape Cod, or at least I remember writing some of it there. What's kind of cool about it is it's like it happens in the middle of that album, so it's supposed to be something of a palate cleanser. I think the first time that like John and Josiah heard it was when we played it in the studio, which is also like kind of fun because even in that sense, it was a palate cleanser. So in short, writing it was a lot of fun, and I think we collectively appreciate that the song is really different, that it's like memeable in a way that it's just so like, who just like took a dump in the middle of this album, or I mean, depending on, as to whether or not you're into that, kind of smooth jazz, as you said it. I mean, if you want to call it that, but that's kind of what that looked like a little bit.
Yeah. How about on the second album, they have Warm Air and The Vortex as your two instrumental tracks. How about that? Because I mean, those aren't as like, chill as Solitaire. Those are kind of just like normal, like Float Upstream, but it's still instrumental. So how did you guys, like, why did you make more instrumental tracks, I guess, for the second album? Like, go around doing that?
It just kind of happened that way. We had two instrumentals that we liked, and there wasn't I don't think there was a ton of thought in it in terms of like we have to have two instrumentals or we can only have one or anything like that. I think I remember presenting War Mare and everyone really liked it. And Owen and I kind of had this like running thing during rehearsals. Is every once in a while we would randomly start playing this thing that we wrote together called the Vortex, and the other two were like had no clue what we were playing, and they just kind of look at each other and go, "What the heck?" And Owen and I are just like jamming out and like being obnoxious. And then it was like, all right, well, let's put this on the album, and then we showed John and Nick how to play it, and then it became a Float Upstream song instead of a Josiah and Owen song. But it was just kind of organic, just like the writing process for the rest of the record. Like, this is the material we had, and it's what we were feeling, and yeah, so.
Yeah, I agree. And we did think a lot about where to put it in the album order, just because it was kind of like random. We did put a lot of thought on like the mood and where it went, because obviously the Vortex is just like, if I had to put it into words of like what it feels like. And then War Mare is like,
word, that's a sound.
You know, and then War Mare is kind of like, you know, it's like you just are in a Coca-Cola commercial and you just took a sip of Coke. So
cold like us, Sprite soda.
So yeah, but definitely, yeah, it wasn't really like anything that we were forcing or trying to think about too much.
Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, I had another question. That I sent you in the text. I didn't put it on my question sheet. So I remember the second time I saw you guys live. This was before you released your second album. And you were like kind of previewing or playing songs that were going to be on the second album live. And I can't remember which one it was, but I remember you guys talking about how at the end of one of the songs, two of you guys was playing in 4/4 and two of you guys playing 7/4, which to the average listener that isn't really into music, that doesn't mean anything really at all. But like to a musician, that's like really, really interesting how like just like a normal like garage rock band would be doing something like that, so to say. So which track was it, first of all? Because I can't remember at all. And when I was listening back to the album, I was like, I couldn't really hear it because it all flowed super natural, like super just like naturally. And so which one was that?
That was the soundtrack song that we were hired to make. It was for this it's this pretty low budget movie called Chimp Chimpers versus DJ Dogbone. No, it was just kidding. It was called Zephyr.
What?
Oh, so good.
It's a terrible joke.
It got some laughs though, you know what I'm saying?
I'll save this one.
Davis.
Yeah, it's in a song called Zephyr. If you listen to the bridge, so it's after the drum break, like verse, where it's like a down verse with some drums and bass, and it builds back up, and then it comes right back into this this 7/4 against 4/4 polyrhythm. And so if you listen closely, the guitars are still rocking the 7/4, and then the bass is pounding out a 4/4 bass, like bass line that does some pretty wacky stuff and does some really pretty cool triplet stuff even in there. So it gets even wackier. And then on the drums, I was playing both. So I was playing a polyrhythm to match with the bass and the snare to match the 4/4, and then on the cymbals I was playing with the 7/4 with the guitar parts. So every time in practice, I was like, guys, let's do this. And so for a long time, they was very skeptical that we could pull this off. And so the first time, I have this distinct memory. So the hard part for Nick was finding, you know, when you're playing 4/4 against the 7/4 chord progression, like finding notes that sounded like a great bass line, but match the chord progression, you know, like could land in the right spots, which he did a great job with. And then the other part was just fun watching John stare like inches from the cymbal, like watching to try to like line up the guitar with the cymbals, because there's just so much going on. So it was definitely one of the most fun parts to try to figure out in practice. And every time we've played it since, it's gone pretty well. It's come pretty naturally, actually. So yeah, that's been pretty fun. Once we got it, we never really had to worry about it. But yeah,
there was a lot of debate surrounding that song and when to do that. So you originally brought up the idea you wanted to just do the chorus with doing something like that, And
Oh yeah, true.
I was like, there is no way that we'll be able to make it sound good with a melody over top of all that jank going on.
Right.
So after
That's true.
much compromise and diplomatic relations, we decided the best thing to do was to make it an instrumental after verse 3, which I think worked perfectly because it puts a lot of really cool focus on that sweet spot of what is going on. My favorite though was showing it to a friend, and she was like, "It makes me uncomfortable." And I was like,
oh yeah.
That's what I like to hear. But no, it was a lot of fun. Figuring out when and where to do that and how to do it, and the way we executed, especially like with Owen trying to like play both parts essentially. Dude's out of this world.
It basically sounds like the way that white people feel when they're told they have privilege. You know what I'm saying?
That's so good.
That's what I'm going for.
Nick, that's a really good hot take.
That is a hot take.
That was a quiplash.
You're gassing me.
Yeah, don't make me spit all over my computer. That'll be bad.
Something is wrong.
Your privilege is strong.
Okay, so now I'm gonna go into more focused questions for like each of you. So the first one I have is for Nick. How do you come up with those sick bass licks? That is the question.
That is a wholesome bro moment to be asked that question. That's a great question. I feel like it, definitely a lot of basses that I've listened to influence the way I play, like Jaco Pastorius, Flea, like people like John Deacon from Queen, or even like, or you know, like Geddy Lee or like James Jamerson did a lot of like Motown stuff. And so like that's kind of like the vibe that the musical vibe that like goes into like that's the inspiration that fuels a lot of like what I decide to play. But a lot of it is also reactionary. Like it's easy to fill like a space with licks that might make people smile or be like, LOL, that was cool. You know, when you have like other accomplished musicians to inspire you to create music like that, they create a creatively inviting environment to allow for that kind of playing to take place. Yeah, but yeah, most of it comes from God, dude. Definitely all by the Spirit of Jesus that I'd be moved or inspired to like worship him in that way. So you know, I could talk about musical inspiration or like how much I love these guys, but like in the end 100% like all about Jesus. Very grateful to like be able to play bass at all, like let alone with like brothers in Christ. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does.
But I appreciate it. It's a beautifully open-ended question.
Okay. Next we have Owen. So what was it like coming up with the drum grooves for Paper Mountains, especially the chorus? But just even add on to that, what is it like just creating the drum grooves for literally everything that you guys make?
That's also a beautifully open-ended question. But yeah, no, honestly, it's been super fun. Just playing with these guys, it's just such a blessing, because a lot of times they are down to do crazy things, and at the same time they also are really good at knowing how to guide that and push back and, you know, give advice to lead it to something that is listenable. And so a lot of the credit for a lot of, you know, what does end up like on the albums definitely goes to them for just helping guide that process. But in general, yeah, a lot of times my goal whenever I'm writing like a part is to, like, I've always just been trying to stay away as much as I can from like like, I don't want to be boring, I'm just trying to stay away from like something that is just like a regular like 4/4 drum beat. So even though I'm playing in 4/4, like my goal has always been to make it not feel that way. And yeah, and if I look back to the EP, like from then to, come of age, like I got kind of better and better at trying to do that and trying to accomplish that. Like the attempts that I made are, more reined in, but also like have a stronger effect. So that's been cool to kind of watch my growth throughout that, as far as like trying to accomplish that goal. And so specifically in like Paper Mountains, in the chorus, that drum beat is basically a samba diddle, is what it's called in the marching world, taken and put onto a drum set. So like a lot of times I took things that I learned on like rudimental snare drum, and I was like, let me just try to apply all this stuff to the drum set and just see what I can make of it, put it on different drums and move it around. And then, in Exit to Your Left, the whole time I'm playing a variant of a drum corps warm up called Barber Flams by the Cadets. And I'm like moving that around the drum set. And it's this like crazy flam exercise. It's really hard to play on snare drum, but it's, a slower song than that tempo. So I was like, maybe I can fit this onto the drum set. And it kind of made this really cool, like shuffly, samba-y thing. So just like a lot of times, again, just like trying to push myself, apply what I've learned in different ways to just really like, maybe see if something sounds good. So a lot of experimentation, and then just a lot of like good feedback and guidance from everyone in the band. And then also just to second what Nick said, I think definitely all of us, at the end of the day, I mean, want to be real with that. All of our gifts, all of our talents, all of our ability really is a gift from God, from Jesus. And I think, first and foremost as a band, we are brothers in Christ. We're people that love God. And from that, we get this musical inspiration, and we've been able to be blessed to work together well, even when we disagree or when we don't. So I think it's been just a really humbling process to be able to write music and play music with these guys, but also just to be their friends. It's been really, really sick and really fun. And it's just cool to see how much this band, this relationship has grown me as a musician. So praise God for all of that, for real.
Yeah. Also, for the audience that doesn't know, they did release an EP, but then they took it down off of streaming platforms. I don't remember what it's called. All I remember is it has like this kind of bluish cover art to it. I think it's on or SoundCloud and maybe YouTube if you want to go listen to it, but they probably don't want you to go listen to it.
Oh,
knowing
yeah,
them.
Just forget we ever spoke about it.
It is a legend.
Never listen.
But if you go on Bandcamp, I hear you can find it there.
Allegedly.
But
I take it down.
Okay. Now this one is for Josiah and John, since you guys are the two guitarists. Whoa, that was a voice crack. How do you coordinate what each of you are going to be playing on guitar when you're making a song that you guys are both playing on guitar?
Yeah, I can take it. A lot of times it kind of just boils down to whoever like wrote a lead for a song, or like if Josiah is playing something or like singing something that's like relatively complex during a chorus or a verse or whatever, then I'll just like do the more intricate part so he can play chords. Like a lot of times that's what it boils down to. Yeah, sorry, that's not a particularly good answer, but most of the time that's kind of just what happens. Like I'm trying to think of an instance where that's not it. Like Mask, it was that lead was one of those instances. Wasn't Meant to Be was one of those instances. So Far Away, that's one of the more complex leads that I play, and that happens during the chorus. So Josiah's just playing chords.
Yeah.
So I think most of the time it boils down to that. I mean, there's a lot of other instances where Josiah's playing a lead, or we're playing lead together, or where I'm playing rhythm. So yeah, sorry, there's not really a hard and fast answer for this one, but it's kind of just like, oh, dude, I wrote this. Oh, cool. I'll put words over it. You play that. I'll play something else. All right, done. Like moving along.
Yep.
So there's no like hard and fast, like, oh, I'm the rhythm guitarist. Oh, I'm the lead guitarist.
Nope.
Not really.
Okay, cool.
And that is partially for me, like it's by design. Just like I used this answer earlier, but just like it's very organic. Like John was saying, it's just how we write stuff. All right, you wrote this lead, you take that lead. And it's really cool. What I really like about how like John and I's relationship as guitarists is it ends up being organic, and it's also organically equitable. So like it just happens that normally like you look at a band's list of their musicians and you see lead guitarist or rhythm guitarist. Well, we're just guitarists, and we just, you know, whoever needs to take the lead takes the lead depending on the scenario, and that's I love that. So it's just, yeah, it's just organic. There's not really a plan behind that. It's just however it gets written and whatever the circumstances require.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then this last question that I have for you is for Josiah. So, compared to making music with a band, what was it like making your solo EP and your SoundCloud project, Cascade of Grey?
Yeah, so writing like doing solo and just tracking instruments and writing all the parts solo is definitely a lot different than being in the band. And there's definitely pros and cons to it. Like there's definitely for me there's more freedom in when I'm writing by myself, like because when you are writing with people, there's a lot of balance, there's a lot of give and take that comes about in the process. And while there's definitely like some perks to being able to do everything yourself, which I actually have an album that I'm working on, my first solo LP that should be coming out. I'm not really sure when, but we'll figure that out. My friend Annie's working on that. She's doing some mixing for me.
Oh, Annie Elise?
Yeah, Annie Elise. Yeah, you know her.
Shout out to her. Go listen to her
shout
music.
Shout out to her. She's awesome. And she's been helping me with the engineering and some production stuff. But like during the process of doing that, like while it was really fun, it's also rather like self-indulgent in a way. And it's very much like what I love about being in a band is that that art of compromise and that art of like listening and working with other people. It can remind you like how selfish you are at times, and it reminds me that like how much that the humility comes into play and how that makes me a better writer, how it makes me a better person even, but also just like it makes us better because when I'm trying to write all the parts myself, it's like when you're trying to do 100 things at once, you don't necessarily do any of them really well. So like having Nick play bass instead of me writing bass, like Nick plays the crap out of the bass and he can focus on that and do that really well. And he'll be creative in ways that I'm just not able to. And it's the same with John, the same with Owen. And so, yeah, I love these guys. I love getting to write with them. And it really like, it's a case of when you are writing as a band, like you're greater than the sum of your parts. And there's just so many good, like, reasons to be in a band where you have like equitable share in who writes what and writing different parts, because it teaches you compromise. And there's definitely been times where we're kind of divided. Sometimes like two of us will like want one thing and two of us will want something else, and we'll kind of like butt heads on like where are we gonna go with this song, like and we'll have to like talk through it or let it sit for a couple weeks, and the art of compromise. But like that tension, like also like it makes us better. Like it's a good thing. And it ends up like forcing us to be creative sometimes too, and just how to implement a clever idea and do that tastefully. So anyway, does that answer your question?
Yeah, perfectly. Yeah, thank you. Oh, yeah, other thing though, other than the solo EP, the electronic stuff, like Cascade of Grey.
Yeah,
how was it like? Because that's all like, that's all more computer-based stuff, right?
Yep, Logic Pro. It's just a lot of MIDI stuff.
Yep.
But, yeah, that was just like something during quarantine. I wanted to when we were really locked down, I wanted to branch out doing some kind of like fusing hip hop with some more like alternative kind of spacey sounds that I've been into lately. And it's a cool little outlet now that I have, that I'll just probably just sprinkle singles onto that SoundCloud as I feel inspired to write stuff like that. But like I said earlier, I listen to so much different music, and so I'm always getting all these weird influences from all over the place. So it's weird because I could see myself like starting like 20 bands and they all sound completely different. Fortunately, I don't have enough time to do something like that. But yeah, just just what he does. So, but yeah, that's just one of the outlets of just something I wanted to explore and get creative with and have fun while I was stuck in my bedroom with the rest of the universe.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the fan questions. So the first one is from Lindsay on Facebook. Where did you get the inspiration for your name?
We got that from a Beatles lyric. My favorite Beatles album, Revolver, the third track on there, I'm Only Sleeping. John Lennon says, when I'm in the middle of a dream, stay in bed, float upstream. And our first band name, not many people know this. The original band name was We Stole These Instruments. Yes. I'm pretty sure, John, you came up with that, right? Or did you get that from somewhere else?
No, I got it from somewhere else.
Okay, so we stole
I stole the name from somebody else.
You stole the name from someone else?
Oh
So yeah,
my
we had this really cheeky, like, tentative band name, and when we started making the Hollowed EP, RIP, we were like, all right, we need to come up with something, and I proposed that we did that because I was super even into the Beatles at the time, still am. So you have a Beatles poster in the background.
Yeah.
There. Love it.
Yeah, this is just kind of the man cave down here. So there's like Star Trek down here. There's James Bond. There's Marvel. There's what is that? Oh, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings. There's just a bunch of stuff down here. It's kind of, yeah.
You love
Yeah, but this is kind of like my music corner, kind of. It kind of branches out that way a little bit. But yeah, but yeah, my family is big fans of the Beatles.
Yeah, love the Beatles. And yeah, that's where we got the name from the Beatles.
Yeah. So, also, since you guys love the Beatles so much, have you guys seen the movie Across the Universe?
Nope.
None of you? Oh, you guys got to watch it.
I've seen bits and pieces.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a big fan of it, but it basically kind of creates this original story where there's also like little like Easter eggs in the story that kind of like pay homage to the Beatles, but then it's also a musical, so they're singing Beatles songs, but then there's also different arrangements. So like Let It Be is a gospel song. With a little help from my friends is like this hard rock song, and it's really, really cool. And then like Strawberry Fields Forever, which is probably like my favorite track from the whole movie. That's kind of like, you know how like the original Strawberry Fields Forever is a little bit psychedelic in some ways. It pumps out that psychedelic nature of it like to the extreme. Like the ending of that is just like wacky as heck, and I like love it because it's just like it's really eerie. But yeah, you guys should go check that out because it's a good movie. It's like 2007. Is that? Yeah, 2007, I think. Yeah. So next fan question is from Owen Pearl on Facebook. I don't know if I know an Owen Pearl. So he asked, I've been dying to know how many trees Nick has harmed with the rear end of his van. Thanks.
So I think hit and
We're all
harmed
dying
are
to
two
know.
different questions. They mean different things. I think I'd say at least two, maybe more, because I'm not sure how many. I guess probably just two.
Go green.
Really? Just two?
Yeah, I think so. There's one I backed into, and it gave me a little kiss and destroyed the windshield, the back windshield. And then the other one was laying on the ground. Like it was already like goodbye to romance, and then I gave it a little kiss. But there's less damage with that one. The van just looked like Jack Skellington from Jack Skellington.
Nick just
What movie was he in? From Milo and Otis,
Christmas or whatever it's called.
What
Nightmare Before Christmas?
I'm pretty sure it's Kirby's Dreamland. He's a character.
Oh wait, yeah, Crane. Wait, we forgot to give a shout out to Brave Little Toaster.
Oh yeah, for inspiration.
That's
True.
true.
Yeah.
And Brave Little Toaster Goes to Mars.
I was gonna
Both
say,
big
DTABWB
inspiration.
And the
goes to
Mars. Yeah. Quick
And the
shout
off
out to
radio.
Christina Applegate. So yeah, like 2 trees, I think.
Just 2. Let's wait till
Nick just
when
hates
you guys tour again. How many more that's gonna be?
Nick, you're a big fossil fuel guy, aren't you? Tree.
Dude, I'm getting fueled, man.
Okay. And then the last fan question, which is from my mom, she asks, met through high school, right? How hard is it to practice and get together now that you are off to college? Were they all home because of COVID? What are their college majors? Music? Or are they all graduated now? Yeah, she texted this to me like real fast, so it's a little choppy, but that's okay.
Hi, Mom.
Mom.
Grom.
Much love. Yeah, so I guess now 2 of us are out of college. John and I. John just graduated in the spring. It's definitely like hard. It's hard when you're all scattered all over the country. It was a lot easier in high school because we just meet in John's basement. Those are simply times. But so what we try to do nowadays is when we can just get together, make time during breaks to get together. And generally the writing process has become much more virtual than in person. So I'm generally writing the songs, sending them out, they listen to demos, and then they give feedback. All right, this one's good, or this one's not good. And so, all right, we'll do these songs, and then they write their parts. I write my parts, and then we bring it together for like a very short period of time, and then just kind of like I remember Come of Age, that was recorded when we were all in college, right? Like we had just I think everyone was in college at that point. And it was basically like over the summer, like we kind of got together. We had all the songs written, demos were done. We knew what we wanted to do with it. And then we did like a 12 or 13 hour session, straight shot at the studio down in Harrisburg. And that's kind of what it came down to, was just like make it happen in a short window of time.
From 3 p.m. to 3 a.m., baby.
3 a.m. It was nuts. We were getting pretty.
Your voice wasn't shot by the end of that?
So that's the thing, is I didn't record any vocals during that. That was all instrumentals.
Oh, okay.
I was just doing scratch vocals, so it didn't matter how good or bad it sounded.
Yeah.
So I went and recorded the vocals on top of that later, so I could take my time with them. But yeah, it definitely is challenging. We were going to do stuff this summer, and then COVID, many things had messed it up. So we've been in talks, and we're hoping to do some kind of recording project whenever we can get together again, maybe in the fall, maybe next year. I'm not sure. We're just gonna play it by ear and figure it out.
Yeah. So that is all the fan questions I have for you guys.
Thanks, Mom.
I think you guys have a question for me. Maybe one of you, maybe all of you. I don't know.
What was the question?
Derek, our question was, why is King of the Limbs a better Radiohead album than OK Computer? I'm curious what your take was.
I don't know. I don't know anything from Radiohead other than the song Creep, because we had to play that in marching band.
What?
Whoa, watch out, brother. You're in enemy territory right now.
Well, and I say...
You're the only one who can defend you.
I say we played that in marching band in the sense that the drum line had to dance with the color guard, so we didn't really play in the normal terms.
Color guard playing Creep.
Well, it's the best Radiohead song, so.
Also the one song that they won't play live ever.
Yep.
Little by little by.
Dude, you're such tease and I'm such a flirt.
Yeah, you are, bro.
Was there another question for Derek?
I was going to ask Derek maybe a question about his own musical endeavors. Are you currently working on a specific project? I saw you released your first album. I haven't had a chance to sit down and listen to it yet, but that's super exciting. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. So that album, Year One, is actually a collection of 4. I know I sound a little bit like Jacob Collier, except I'm not as talented. But that's going to be a collection of 4, Year 1 through 4, which there will be an album every summer that gets released of just all the accumulation of just original stuff that I made, whether it's on a DAW or in a studio, just everything, just all in one album. Every summer I'm going to release one. I'm also currently working on, like, which will be released in that album. I'm currently working on a hip hop EP because this summer, or just this COVID quarantine area, I've been really, really diving into hip hop. So I've been really, really getting into that. So I was just like, hey, let's make something hip hoppy, and hopefully I'll get a few features on that I know of people from my school.
You still want me to rap?
Yeah, I don't know. That was a terrible take I did. It was the most terrible thing I've ever, like, honestly, I've written some really cruddy songs, and that was like worse. It's so dumb. And for the audience that doesn't know, yeah, so I had this beat that I was working on, and I thought it sounded really, really cool. And I was sending it to one of my good friends, Lovesick, who was on the last episode of the podcast. And he was like, yeah, this sounds really, really rad. And I'm like, I think I need to stick some like rap vocals over this, or get a rapper to be featured on this. And he's like, that would be absolute fire. And so I started writing these trash lyrics, and they're so dumb. I sent them to Josiah, and I don't even sound good rapping. Maybe I still want you to rap. I honestly don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do with that beat yet anymore.
Well, I'll throw a demo your way, and you can be the judge.
Okay, that would be fantastic.
Softly
yeah.
we speak all through the night.
That's great, man. Keep grinding.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude.
Put stuff out.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. So that's your question for me. So that basically wraps it up. Thank you guys so much for being on the podcast. It was a really good pleasure to have you on.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks. Yeah, that's so fun.
Thanks for having us.
This is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Shout out to our sponsor, the King of Limbs.
So I'm guessing just album whenever for you guys, whenever it comes out, or whenever you guys get together after COVID.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. In fact, we're probably going to have a phone call right after this to discuss the future of Float Upstream. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to do a quick shameless plug. I have a song called Sunflower Fields, which is...
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. August 28th, I'm going to be releasing that on streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, the works. It's solo.
Nice.
So it's going to be under just Josiah Joseph. So make sure you check that out. Please and thank you.
Yeah, I didn't hear about this until now. So yeah, I'll be checking that out.
Shameless advertisement moment over. Also, shout out to Tom York, my true love.
Okay, yeah, quick plug for the JV experience. I'm in Abandoned State College. We're hoping to release our EP sometime late this year, early next year. Follow us on Instagram at thejvexp.
They do food reviews. They're pretty cool.
Yeah, we do food reviews too. Places we've reviewed include Carnes Rotisserie Chicken, assorted sandwiches at Roy Rogers, Turnpike Rest area. We were at some other place this morning. It was like Discount Perkins next to a truck stop. Country Pride.
Shout out to Owen and the Pearls. Follow them.
Shout out Tom Cruise. Shout out Scientology.
Shout out
Shout out Pizza Balls.
Okay. Shout out to Ganondorf.
Oh, that's back.
Yeah, he's a big inspiration of mine.
And Eric Andre.
Okay, thank you guys for coming on. We'll be signing out now.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bro.
Okay.
Owen, you should take a cue from. See, I thought
I know.
Owen was the best at ending conversations, but Derek just says we're signing off now. That's
I
what
know.
Owen should say right
I know.
before
I
he
gotta put that one
leaves.
in my arsenal, brother.
Okay.
But seriously,
Owen
see you
signing
guys.
Yep. Yeah.
People who hated on me.
Okay, ending now.
Okay, just to be perfectly clear, and some new additions of things to check out. So obviously check out Float Upstream. They're available on all streaming platforms. Then check out Josiah Joseph, who is the lead singer. He has a solo project of his name, and then he also has an electronic project, Cascade of Grey, which is only on SoundCloud. But with his solo project, that Sunflower Field song that he mentioned in the episode, that did get released last fall. So go check that out on all streaming platforms. And then Nick, he mentioned in the episode about his other band that he's a part of called the JV Experience. And they released a single in September called Pennsylvania Summer Nights. Go check that out. That's a really cool song. And then Owen Pearl, the drummer, like very, very recently just released a single off of his own thing, or his own solo kind of thing with his wife and another producer. It's called Truth I'm Missing, and the artist name is Pearl 12. So yeah, go check that out. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Thanks for listening.